Hey guys, welcome back to the Calibrate Tools and DIY channel. Hope everybody's doing good. I am out of town at the moment. Of course, you can't tell because my background is, you never could tell where I'm going to be, but I am at the moment on, I'm doing some jobs out here, I should say, out here in the world, business related and so forth. But, I'm not going to miss coming on and communicating with my people out here, Calibrate family. So glad you could make it, whether you're here now or in the replay. Let's talk about it, guys. I figured I'd jump on a topic that I think is universal. It's not necessarily tied into home improvement, but it is tied into how to building a successful life. And I like to dive into topics like that every now and then to kind of retune and what's the word? Kind of just get things back in order as far as priorities in life, especially for us, that are trying to get to the young folks and hope, we can teach them a thing or two. So I'm going to dive into it. Make moves that will pay you in the future, guys. What are those moves? I always look back and say, man, I wish I was taught these things by my folks or somebody in my life at a young age, but I never was. So I had to figure it out all on my own. And it's never too late to learn. So I figured I'll just, pay it forward to those of you who may be looking for the same kind of advice and guidance they wish they had, or that they wish they, had now in their life. Okay. So let's dive into it. Okay. The first thing you want to really think about as a young person is your financial future. I know it's very important for you to go out there, have a good time, party, and all of that, but there's a time and a place for that. Okay. And if you make that your priority in life, I guarantee you have things out of order. I would say from the age of 20 to 30, you should be focused on your building your financial future, right? Yeah, you can go out with friends and all of that, but I would save that for later in your life because you'll be looking back at the age of 40, 50 saying, damn, I wish I would have focused more on building my financial future rather than hanging out with friends. Okay, guaranteed, right? So these are some of the things you may want to consider right now. And you don't have to be a youngster. You can start anytime, but the younger you start, the better it's going to be for you. Okay, you want to start investing. Okay, you want to start investing right now. Okay, and you want to be consistent with it. The main thing that I learned in life is that consistency is always going to trump talent. You can be as talented as you want to be, but if you're not consistent, it doesn't mean anything. Consistency is the foundation, right, for everything. If you're talented and you're consistent, then hey, you won the battle. Half the battle is won right there. So when it comes to your finances, you want to start investing now, okay? And you want to be consistent with it. If you don't know what the compound interest, go look it up and learn what that is, okay? Because that just means that's just going to put you on the right track. Once you understand how compound interest works when it comes to investing, you will run to invest your money, right? And I'm not going to get into that topic. This is not the channel for that, but go look it up. Watch other YouTube channels when it comes to finance and building wealth and all of that, and learn what compound interest is. And I guarantee you, in 10 to 20 years, right? If you're consistent, you won't have to worry about working a job, right? I'm telling you. So go ahead and look that up, right? So investing is the number one thing you want to start to consider. Now you can invest your money, you can invest your time, you can invest in a business, right? But what you want to think about is having your money work for you, right? That's the main thing I'm trying to get over to you right now. Most jobs that you have that are out there today, they offer 401ks, IRAs, different types of financial vehicles to help you later on in life for retirement. But you don't have to wait for retirement to enjoy your life, right? You don't have to slave and work on a job that you don't even like, right? um, Before you can become financially independent. You just have to understand what investing is and what compound interest is, and then you go from there. Okay, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Next thing you want to consider, right, is you want to build an emergency fund. Okay, this is just money that you put aside in case of an emergency. It should be at least 3 to 6 months, you know, of funds that you put away just in case something happens. Because, guys, like all you have to do is look back on your life, and you can see all the instances where something went wrong. You needed a good amount of money to get something done to get you out of a jam, and you didn't have it, right? You had to depend on somebody, or maybe you had to lose everything, right? But if you're thinking ahead, you want to think about building an emergency fund. That's money you put aside that you don't touch just in case those things happen, and they will happen. Okay. So build you an emergency fund. Okay. It should be at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses to get you through that hard time that you're going through. And you want to make sure you put that aside. Okay. Next thing, guys, as far as finances, you want to avoid any kind of high interest uh, debt or loans. Credit cards is a big culprit. Now, I'm not going to knock credit cards, right? I'm not a Dave Ramsey or anything like that where I say, don't use credit cards, stay away from them. There was a time when I was like that. I was like, okay, I'm not going to touch a credit card. But in my experience, that all depends on the person, right? If you're a disciplined person, right, and you know how you're very careful with your money, how you spend it, you're not frivolous, and you hold yourself accountable, then a credit card could actually help you a lot, especially when you need that money to start a business or finance a business or finance a project, or maybe even buy some property or something like that. You can leverage credit cards to do that. A lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do without them, right? And so it all depends on the person. But once again, you want to stay away from, if you know you're not the responsible type of person, right? You can be honest with yourself. Then I would stay away from credit cards. I would stay away from any kind of high interest loans, anything like that that will just keep you in a hole for years and years and years that you're trying to dig out and you can't because of who you are. Let's be honest, right? We're not perfect, and we know our faults. So if you are, honest with yourself, don't do it. Just stay away from it. Pay cash if you can. If you can't buy something, if you can't afford it, just don't get it. Okay. All right. Next thing, learn how to create a budget, right? I would look at a budget like a boat, right? It's going to keep you afloat, right? So knowing where every dollar goes, right? Being responsible like that, and not going overboard with it, not extending yourself past your budget that you set for yourself. That's going to save your life in a lot of, man, I can't tell you. It's going to save you so many problems. Okay, guys. So learn how to create a budget. They got all kinds of tools out there. They got tools that'll do it for you. I'm sure they got some AI tool that'll, all you got to do is plug in some numbers and it'll spit out a budget for you in seconds, right? So look into that. The next thing I would do is what other types of income streams you can do. In other words, diversify your income. If you have a job, great, but doesn't mean that job's going to last forever, right? And usually a job implies that you're working for someone else, not yourself. And so you don't really have control over what's going to happen. That person or that company can let you go anytime, not because they want to, but maybe they have to, right? Maybe business isn't going well. Maybe the economy is in a slump and they can't afford to have you on board anymore. And they got to let you go. I mean, layoffs happen all the time. We see it in the news. Matter of fact, very, very close friend, relative of mine, was working at a place, and they recently got laid off. And it was a very good paying job, a high skilled job, and so it doesn't matter, right? Whether it's a lower level job, whatever you consider lower level, blue collar, white collar, something can hit you or hit that company, and next thing you know, you're out of a job. So what do? Well, if you diversified your income, then you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about all of that, right? You have something else to fall back on. You won't just be bone dry and have nothing coming in. So whatever that is, whatever you got going on right now, look at other things that you can do to bring in money, right? Bring in an income. Now, investing is one of those things, but investing can take time. unless you're a day trader or something like that, where you're making thousands of dollars in minutes. But most people aren't day traders, right? So investing, yeah, we talked about that. But what other types of skills that you can gain where you can, branch out on your own or do side projects, be a freelancer or something like that to bring in some extra income, right? And you can have two or three or four of those things going on. So that's why it's very important to diversify your income, so that shields you from just being out in the cold with nothing going on. Okay. All right. So that's in the financial realm that you want to look at. If your financial world isn't looking like what I just laid down or that just listed, then you want to make some changes. Okay. So number one, investing, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're tired of working and you don't want to do all of that, you just want to enjoy your life. If the earlier you start investing, the better, right? The more time you have to spend the rest of your days, doing what you want to do, because now your money has worked for you and it's still working for you. Okay. All right. Next area I want to tackle is careers and development, skill development. Right. I just kind of touched on getting a new skill, but where do we start with that? Like if you're a young person right now, it doesn't matter what age, but you always want to be learning something. You want to be a lifelong learner, and that will serve you in so many ways. Okay. People that are stuck and don't want to in their ways, and they don't want to learn anything else, and they don't want to expand their horizons, they will be left behind. And that can be an individual, that can be a nation, that can be a company, that can be business. I mean, how many businesses got left behind when the internet came along and they didn't jump on board? I mean, there's so many. How many people were left behind when they didn't up level their skills on their job, right? And they got left behind. Okay, so now before it was computers, just they came out with computers, right? And then people started to learn how to program the things, right? And they became the highest paid people. Then the internet came along. Now, of course, the internet dominates everything, but now AI is here. So, that's taken over everything. So we see a constant evolution of technology, and not just in technology field, but in different fields. And that's just the way life goes. And if you're not, willing to expand and learn new skills, right, then you will be left behind. Simple as that. Okay. Um, another thing that a lot of people neglect is that, well, they say I have all these skills, I have all these certificates, I have all these degrees and so forth. But at the end of the day, life is about relationships. Okay. So you want to build a strong network, right? In the field that you're pursuing, and in life in general, right? In all areas. But when it comes to, you know, making money and because we need money to survive, you want to build a strong network, right? People that will refer you to other people in that network. And you know, at the end of the day, all business is based on relationships. So if you learn how to build a strong network, uh, out there as far as building relationships with people in your field, that's going to serve you so much better than just a degree or a certificate. And that's why a lot of people go to college and they go to institutions of higher learning, not just to sit in the class and learn from a professor and get the piece of paper, but they actually go in there to make connections. Okay, that's the biggest reason that they go there, especially wealthy people. They go there to make the connections that they need to make, so when they get out, they're already set, right? Because you could have all the knowledge in the world, but if somebody doesn't like you or know you, they don't care. They'll pick the person that they know and like, even if that person is not as smart or as intelligent as you. They're going to pick the person that's, you know, that they're familiar with, okay, that they feel more comfortable with. So, to a certain extent, you can build those kinds of relationships with people, and it'll serve you over time. That's just the way it works, especially in a capitalist system. Okay, relationships are very important. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. Here's another one. I don't know about the mentorship. Okay, mentorship is been pushed for years and years on the internet. Oh, you need a mentor, you need this, you need that. And that that kind of ties into what I just said about building a strong network and building relationships. And I have never been one to pursue a mentor like that, but I see the value in it, okay? Because finding somebody who knows more than you on a topic or who's been in the trenches longer than you and who can take you under their wing and teach you the game, uh, there's a lot of value in that. And if you have that kind of person in your life, um, I think that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. But I wouldn't necessarily depend too much on that, right? But I do see the value in it. I do see the value in seeking out people that can help you along the way. Um, and that, so yeah, I would say I lean more to that side of it, seeking people out that know more than you, right? And that can help you out. And once again, it ties into building that network, building those relationships, and seeing where that can get you. All right. Next thing, guys, that I would focus on, right, is your health, right? Your health and well-being. Yeah, going after those big goals. That's I think everybody should have a goal, right, and pursue it to the fullest, right? Go after that. Achieve those milestones. Make that money and all of that stuff. But none of that stuff means anything if you're not healthy, right? So taking care of your health is, I would say, up there with making money, right? So you want to make sure that you, you know, uh, exercise, eat right as best you can, and just stay disciplined. It's just the universal thing, right? It applies to all aspects of your life, health being one of them. So consistency in eating right and exercise, and it doesn't say you have to, work yourself out to death. It's just that you do something, go out for a walk every day, stretch. A lot of people, they go hit the weights and all that stuff, but you don't stretch, right? I think stretching is just as important as lifting weights or any kind of resistance exercises, right? And a lot of times we neglect that and we feel it, especially as you get older in life. You start feeling stuff, and it's like, dang, okay, this ain't from listen. This is not from lifting weights. This is because I didn't stretch, right? And so I would incorporate stretching into your routine, and along with everything else, and you should be fine. But that's just on the physical level, right? What about your mental health? What about that? Okay, you could be as fit as the fittest person in the world. You could have the best body, look good, eat right, and all that good stuff. But if you're not mentally sound, then guess what? That doesn't mean anything either, right? So how do you become mentally sound? Well, I think it's more about avoiding the things that stress you out. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? We're gonna have stress. I think there's good stress, and I think there's unhealthy stress, right? Now, what you may call toxic, right? If you live in the toxic world too much, right, and you don't balance it out with good peace and non-toxic stuff, then you're gonna start to become very unhealthy. It's gonna start showing in your physical health. You're gonna start getting high blood pressure. You're gonna start diabetes. All these things come from living in a toxic mental environment, right? And unfortunately, a lot of us are addicted to that because that's all we have known coming up, right? We grew up in a toxic household. That's all we know, right? So um, that's all we kind of gravitate to, not knowing that it's actually shortening your days here, right? So if you find yourself mentally stressed out all the time, having anxiety all the time, stuff like that, that's not a good thing, right? Um, you need to know how to do something about that. And there's many ways. Some people rely on their faith, they rely on prayer, they rely on meditation, or whatever you could incorporate into your life to help bring down your stress levels, because stress is going to come regardless, right? It doesn't matter, right? Whether you like it or not, it's going to be there. It's just about how you handle it. And so if you can figure out ways, your own routines to deal with it, then that's just as important as going to the gym. You got to know how to go to the mental gym as well. Okay. That all ties into relationships. You just want to, the people that you hang around that are in your life, family, loved ones, all that stuff. If they're stressing you out too much, then you got to get away from them. You got to make space for yourself, right? Because ultimately it's not really about you, right? It's about the purpose that you're here for. What is your purpose ultimately, right? And if something is not serving your purpose, then you're actually cheating yourself, right? And you're cheating the grand plan. There is a grand plan for you, and you got to figure out what that is. And if something's not serving that, then you should eliminate that thing from your life, or at least give yourself space from it. Okay. So what have we covered so far? We covered finances, we covered career, and we covered you know physical fitness and health. Okay, very important things to make a what I would call a successful life. Now, notice I didn't say anything about being a millionaire. I just said about successful life. All right, it's not about the amount of money. It's about I would say it's about peace of mind and being able to take care of yourself, being self sufficient. That's it. I didn't put a number on anything. Okay, so that's not what this is all about. All right, what else, guys? Personal growth. Personal growth ultimately is what it's all about. Now, I like to see it as everything that you're pursuing, you're tying it into a grand plan, right? A grand purpose, right? And your personal growth includes everything I just mentioned, right? So um, at the end of the day, though, it's about understanding what the ego is and how it's trying to sabotage you. Because every day you wake up, that ego that you probably don't even know existed. A lot of us don't even know that we have one. That part that says I, and that wants to just not listen to anything and not have discipline, not have do what it wants to do, not think about other people. Um, that's the self sabotaging part of us, right? That we need to keep at bay. Okay, and it totally ignores, or it totally wants to defy what what I would call, or what we know as, delayed gratification, right? It wants everything now, and if it doesn't get it now, then it starts to act like a child throwing a tantrum, right? Because what does a child do when it usually throws a tantrum? It's because it doesn't get what it wants right now, right? That's a child. But as you mature, you become a more mature person. You realize, hey, it's not about me getting it now. It's about me, um, what I'm saying, growing enough to realize that I don't need it right now. Because a lot of things that we want right now, we don't even need, right? I may want to go and get a hamburger down the street. Do I need that? No, I don't need that at all. But there's a part of me that might say, hey, I want it right now. I want that ice cream right now. I want that car right now. I want this right now, all that stuff. But I'm understanding that it takes work and discipline to get the things that are really worth it in life, including relationships, right? Including material things, right? Because without understanding and growing through delayed gratification, you may get that thing now. You may get that money now. You may get that person now. You may get that thing that you wanted so bad now, but you won't be able to keep it. You won't be able to keep it because you haven't grown enough to learn how to keep something. Okay. And then, like I said, a lot of things that you may think you want, you don't even need. But you didn't wait long enough to think, you didn't wait long enough to realize, oh, I didn't really need that. Right. I didn't really need that house, that car, that person, that hamburger. Right. Because sometimes you get what you want. It's not even it's actually worse for you, right? So um, you didn't develop discernment, right? You didn't sit back and relax and watch and see, hey, do I really need that? Is that really good for me, right? Very important habit. Okay. Here's another thing as far as personal growth, read some books, right? Now, I used to read a lot, right? And then I realized, hey, look, it's good to read, and that's up to you if you want to be a book reader and all that good stuff. You can go on the internet and learn things, But I would say just, as far as that goes, I would say study people more than books. Study people more, right? That'll get you further than just reading books after book after book. Yeah, you may be able to talk about stories and things you learned in books, and it may help you on your job or help you do this and that. But, studying your fellow man more, man and woman more, and how they operate, learning emotional intelligence, as they call it, learning human psychology, I think it will serve you a lot better. Just ask any salesperson, right? And sales is one of the best skills that you could ever learn, right? So that's what I would study, and then learn more about yourself, right? Learn more about what triggers you, right? Look back on your life and say, okay, what put me in those bad predicaments? What about me? Because a lot of times we like to blame other people for putting ourselves in a bad predicament, right? I think it's better that if when you turn inward, do some self reflection and look at yourself and say, hey, how did I get in that position? Learn more about what about me put me in that position. And then you start to go down a rabbit hole within yourself and start to go back into your childhood and say, dang, oh, okay, that caused that. Maybe I think that way because this happened. Blah, blah, and it's very, I would say it's a very exciting journey to go inward and understand who you are more than everything else. Because when you understand who you understand the world better. Get what I'm saying? So anyway, guys, those are some tools, because this is a tool channel, but these are the inner tools that will help you build an outer world that's very successful. Okay, and I didn't put a dollar sign on that when I said success. A lot of people think success is a dollar sign, and no, it's not. It's a fulfilled, whole, integrated life. That's what it is. Okay, where you can give back to the world in a more healthy fashion, and that's what we're here to do. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, and I will see you in the next one.